Hey guys, Nick Drossos, and welcome to another episode of Have the Balls to Talk About It. And this week I got back my cousin Perry, and as you can see right now, what's playing is one of our most watched episode that year was my cousin talking about TRT and mental health. And we got so many emails and questions and so many comments on this video. And I wanted to bring back my cousin to talk a little bit about mental health, because I got a lot of questions about how you dealt with your anxiety, your anxiety, stress, and everything that you talk about. So, Barry, thanks for coming back on the show.
My pleasure, man. It's only 2 years, but I look so much older.
I know, I see it.
I think COVID aged me.
So my first question is, Barry, you're still on TRT, right? Come from that episode?
Yeah, 2 years now, 2 years on.
How do you feel with it?
Good. At the beginning, you feel the benefits a lot quicker.
Okay.
But as time goes by, you have to start adjusting like doses and stuff like that. You have to find that sweet spot, right?
Okay.
At the beginning, it's also a lot of it is psychosomatic. You're on it. You're like, okay, I'm going to be okay now.
Okay.
Once that novelty runs out, then you realize it's a medication just like anything else. Okay. And you have to start playing around with your dose and finding that sweet spot, right? So I found my sweet spot. I've actually reduced my dose.
Okay.
I don't plan on taking too much because my goal is just to maintain a quality of life.
Okay.
Right? A lot of people do it for the wrong reasons, bodybuilding, many other reasons. I just literally do it for depression, anxiety, and overall health, right? I see the benefit. Some people don't believe there's a benefit. Other people believe there's risks. I just saw a benefit, and you've known me all my life too, so you've seen the difference too. I mean, physically, yes, all right.
Yeah, it was solid,
but that's beyond, you saw how I was and how I am now.
So a lot of the questions we got was, how much was TRT and how much was the actual work? Because I know you worked with a therapist, you worked on yourself. And again, we talked, we got a lot of questions about the depression and the anxiety. How much work did you put in this?
So listen, the TRT helped in what sense? It helped me get off the ledge, right? So before I was on antidepressants, all sorts of anti whatever. Yeah. And it wouldn't really do anything to me. Like, they just kept me very numb. So TRT helped me get out of my shell. But then I tell people that's when the real work begins, right? Because you can take any medication and it'll help you. But at the same time, if you're not going to put to work, nothing's going to happen. So after the TRT and the novelty wore off, and I was happy again because my hormones were in check, everything was okay. Then I realized, okay, wait a minute. I'm back to where I was when I was 16, and the problems problems started coming out. So now I deal with them. Before I masked them. Now I have to deal with them. How do I deal with them? It's a lot of taking inventory of your character.
I like that. I like that word, inventory of your character. I like that.
Well, alcoholics take inventory of, but to us, the 12 steps, there's a reason why the 12 steps have been around for many, many years. They work. So one of them is taking inventory. And my inventory was seeing what my faults are, what leads me to destructive behavior, what leads me to what were my coping mechanisms? Were they helpful? Were they destructive? Where did that lead me?
What did you find when you started opening up that Pandora's box?
You realize that a lot of us, and I say this with certainty. People sometimes get offended, but you know me, I don't care. I don't shy away from saying what I have to say.
We've lost that. Everybody gets easily so offended. People are scared to say what they really feel.
The truth is, if we actually looked in the mirror, and actually looked into ourselves, like really look yourself in the eye in the mirror, you'll realize you're not who you say you are. In Greek we say vitrina, right? La vitrine. We all have a vitrina. Yeah. We show what we want. What's inside is very different. And a lot of it is coming to grips with your secret thoughts, the thoughts that you even hide from yourself, even though they're there in the background and you say, no, but I'm not like that. but they're there. These dark thoughts that we all have. We all have them at one point in our life.
What's a dark thought? Just
Meaning,
to give somebody an
when
example.
I say dark thoughts, I mean more like in the lines of, you know, I'll give you an example. Like I was like in business, right? You'd think like, how can I fuck this guy? Oh, am I allowed to swear, guys?
Yeah, it's okay.
You know, I can screw this guy over. But no, I shouldn't. But, you know, be honest about who you are. Doesn't mean you're going to do any of the things that you think about it, right? Because most of our thoughts are garbage anyways. But I'm just trying to say, like, be honest. When you have a certain emotion, a certain thought, a certain feeling, own it, look at it, examine yourself, and see where you're going wrong. Because a lot of it is know thyself.
Yeah.
A lot of it is that. Because a lot of us are, like I said, are giving an image to the world of what we are. But a lot of times when we go home at night and we sleep and we're in our bed, okay, it's all good to put that image out.
Yeah.
Then why are you sad when you're lying down? Yeah. Aren't you happy with the image you put out? You should be happy, right? You put out that image. Why aren't you sleeping comfortably?
And especially with social media, when you look at it, so many people put up this, you know, you look at people who look like they have these amazing lives. And then when you start breaking it down, or, you know, like they're actually, it's all fake. It's all smoke and mirrors. It's not real.
And what scares me is that I realized that about myself, but I realized that the world today, nobody really wants the truth. Most people want to be told what they want to hear, and that's it. And they're happy. So for me, that was one of the process, was coming to grips with a lot of things that I had inside of me that I had to examine and not fear them. You know, don't fear them. What you feel inside, what you think, a lot of it is just nonsense.
Just noise, yeah.
You know, but you still have to examine those things, see where they're coming from. It sounds exhausting, and it is. Like for me, it was exhausting because when you reach a point where you're sick and you have to fix this, by then it's too late. So it's like a long process. Most people who are like normal, everyday people don't have to go through this, but it's still good to actually take a moment and think about your day. Think about what happened, certain situation that happened. Like take inventory. It's very good. Like it doesn't have to be an hour, just 10 minutes at night. Think, you know, this so-and-so happened, this and this happened. Was it worth it? Was it good? Was it? And that's it. And leave it be. Don't beat yourself up. That's another thing. You know, a lot of people have that whip and we're just whipping each other. And we're whipping ourselves for what there's no point.
That's something I had to work on too. I would every night I try to like audit my day and look at how was my day? What did I do good? Did I do something wrong? And sometimes if I feel like I did something wrong, I let that just continuously like run it over my head. And now what I try to do when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is, okay, Nick, today's a new day. I try to press the reset button. Yesterday was yesterday. Reset every day.
There's no point in thinking about, look, don't dwell. Like my biggest problem was that also. I was very honest with myself. That's what saved me. I was never like, I knew when I was going out partying and drinking and the girls and all that, I knew it was bullshit anyways, right? I knew it was crap. So I never lied to myself. I went home knowing that I accomplished nothing. This means nothing. So I was always honest with myself, but I punished myself. And that's not healthy. You know, obviously, you know, I take my religion very seriously, right? Yeah. I'm an Orthodox Christian. I take repentance very seriously. And even monks tell you, you repent, you confess, you let it go. It's over. It's done.
Yeah.
Don't dwell. That's a trick.
Yeah.
That's a trick that the evil one plays. He says, one of the monks that I know very well, he goes to me, that's a trick that he plays on your mind because he doesn't want you moving forward. And what's the best way? Despair. What you did, you'll never surpass that. It's bad. You don't dwell on it. There's no moving forward when you dwell. So for me, that was also one of the biggest problems I had was moving forward and letting go of a lot of things. Now, mind you, there's certain behaviors that become habits. That's what's dangerous, to be honest with you.
That's a good point.
When something becomes a habit. So we all make mistakes, we move on. But when we make a mistake over and over, and then it becomes a habit, that's the most dangerous because it's no longer just a mistake. It's become a way of life.
Yeah. It's programmed. You start programming that habit.
First, it's in a sense it's a spiritual war. It's a mental war. But then it becomes part of your DNA. Like your body is used to like this happens. This is my stress relief. Like a drug addict. Like I get stressed. I need to do a line of coke at the end of the day, or I need to do I don't know whatever he does. Right. And it becomes habit. And that habit is a lot harder to break than a psychological, like just thought and stuff. Because habit, then you merge both. Like the body and the soul merge, and it's hard to beat, guys. And when a habit forms, it's very hard to beat, and it's doable. It's just a long process. So that's to answer your question. Basically, that's what I started doing.
Okay.
But the TRT helped me reach a point where I was able to do that.
And what advice do you have for people who are going through depression? For somebody who's going through depression, who's through a rough patch, who's and it feels like as happy as some people may seem or look, when I talk to people more one-on-one as a trainer and they open up to me, I sometimes see how sad they are. How unfulfilled sometimes their life is, or how incomplete. And I realize that material stuff will never bring you happiness. It's going to bring you a moment of joy, but not a fulfillment, content, where you wake up in the morning, you're at ease. Look,
as cliche as it sounds, you're right. Like material things won't give you happiness. It's not good to be broke, like we said before.
Like we talked about it too.
But it's also won't give you happiness. But look, I've become very sensitive to this. When I hear someone's depressed, I take it to heart. It makes me sad for the person because I know how it feels. And it's not as easy as, hey, snap out of it. Right? That's the worst thing you can tell to someone who's such in a black hole. You can't just tell them snap out of it. It's insensitive. And it's obviously you don't know how difficult it is. Like I've reached a point of suicidal thoughts. It's difficult. Now, what do I tell them? First, one thing you have to tell these people, and it's my experience in the world of depression, I've seen a lot of doctors. They've brought me from one doctor to the other, from one hospital to the other, from one medication to the other. So I've met a lot of people who suffer from this. And it's going to sound a little bad what I'm going to say, but a lot of these people, including myself, have a lot of pride.
Okay, what do you mean?
People who suffer from depression, if you really probe them, a lot of it stems from this should have never happened to me. I'm better than this. I deserve better. I am better. And you have to be honest about what your capabilities and who you really are.
That's so true.
I remember we have a friend here. Can I mention Costa? Right? I remember the first time I met you, you wanted to punch me in the face. Remember with what I told you? Not to get too much into it. Because the truth is, we create in us something where we're like me personally, I thought, no, I deserve this, I deserve that, I should have had this, I should have had that. And it didn't happen. Who's to blame? The world?
Yeah.
No. Failure. Own it. I messed up. Right? Why am I not where I want to be? Well, because I was busy partying 6 hours a day and buying 5 bottles of vodka. Nobody's fault, right? So a lot of times I find people who suffer from depression do suffer from a bit of pride.
That's the first time I hear that.
It's
that's what you said.
That's what I've seen. I could be wrong, and most people don't like to hear that.
Yeah.
But if I'm being honest, my reason for my depression is I thought I deserved better in life, and I've noticed that pattern in a lot of people who suffer from depression. Now, so that's something they don't like to hear, but I usually could tell when I talk to somebody within like 5-10 minutes, I could tell where it's coming from. I have that gift. I'm good with people. I could read people very easily. People tell you, if you actually listen and not talk over them, people will give away their whole life in 5 minutes with what they say or what they do or how they act. It's very easy to pinpoint if you're actually looking.
Good point.
And so a lot of times it's that, but I do tell people, you're not alone. First of all, you're not alone. You're never as alone as you think you are. There's always someone you can talk to. And it's good not to stay closed. When you are suffering from depression or anxiety, it's always best to be surrounded. As hard as it is,
Yeah, because a
better.
lot of times people like to isolate or want to be alone, or which is counterproductive to what
it's
you.
counterproductive. You need to be surrounded with people. Like I remember, like there's times where I was depressed. Like people's like, "Oh, you need to be like." You would call me like, "Hey," I'm like, "No, leave me alone," you know. But no, it's no. Go with people.
Go with people.
Forget yourself for a second. Go with your cousin. Go
for
with
a
your
walk,
friend.
Do something. Go out.
So it's good to be with somebody, and
Exercise has been a big factor in your life.
of course that's been a very big help. But I find look, when it comes to exercise, it's more to do with anxiety. It helps with anxiety. Depression, not so much. To be quite honest,
Okay.
like I find like when I was really depressed and I went weight training, it actually made me more depressed when I was done because my nervous system would get a big shock from the heavy weights.
Yeah, you're also
So, a lot of it is your nervous system.
Yeah.
So when you're depressed, your nervous system is already shot. Then you're going to like deadlift 400 or 500 pounds. Then your nervous system.
But I tell people with sometimes depression to just go out and take a walk.
That's right.
Right? Go out, take a 30, 45-minute walk.
Run.
Yeah, just to.
Or light weights, high reps.
Yeah.
But don't go too heavy because I find it messes with your nervous system, and it's a bit. I prefer cardio when it comes to mental health issues.
And what about your diet? Like, I mean, you look in top shape right now. What do you?
You know me. I just
eating
had a Big Mac 20 minutes ago. The TRT burns away fat. Let's be honest. Testosterone is the best body fat killer. Like, I don't watch what I eat at all. I don't diet. I don't have crazy low body fat, but I'm also not, for what I eat, I should be a lot bigger.
Yeah, but you're also training almost every day, every other day.
Yeah.
You go heavy. I've trained with you.
5 times a week I try. Now I'm going down to 4 times now. I think that's the sweet spot for me.
Okay.
Yeah, but when it comes to mental health, like I said, take it easy on the heavy weights. I don't.
Meditation, obviously, or praying for you.
For me, it's more praying. I just went to the Holy Mountain in Greece, and I spent 10 days there with the monks.
Okay.
No women there. There's no nothing. It's just you can't do anything there. It's just 1 o'clock in the morning. It's church.
1 a.m.
1 a.m. They're on Byzantine time. It's the old Byzantine Empire time. So everything is almost backwards there. So 1 o'clock a.m. So it's like 6 a.m. normal time. We would go 1 a.m. to church, 6 hours in the church praying.
Okay.
After that, quick breakfast. Then it was off to the fields, manual labor, physical labor. Because body at rest, you want to talk depression, worst thing, move.
That I say.
And these people know, even though they don't need doctors to tell them you need to move or you need. Then after the physical labor, go to your room. Around lunchtime, you go eat.
What did you eat?
There's no hot food there. The monks, the Orthodox monks really believe that giving the body physical comfort kills the soul.
Okay.
So they avoid any kind of physical comfort. So there's no warm food. It's room temperature food.
Okay.
Very small portion, just enough to satiate your stomach.
Yeah.
And that's it. Water, you're only allowed to drink when the abbot of the monastery rings his bell. Then you can drink water. You can't just take a glass and start drinking by yourself.
So you're like doing intermittent fasting.
Basically, that's where they got it from. These monks been doing it for 2,000 years. So they really suppressed the body. Why? So the soul could grow. Right? When you suppress the body, physical toughness, right? When you go through hard times in life like you've been through, isn't that what made you tougher?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well,
The resilience
did
comes
I
from
not
that.
live in comfort all my life? Look how weak I was. And now I'm going through my own little difficulties that lately. It's helped me grow.
Yeah.
And being on that monastery and looking at these monks pray and not eat, barely eat, and there's no meat, it's just beans and rice and stuff like that. And then church again, then sleep. Sleep is at 6 p.m. till 1 a.m.
No way.
That's it.
How long did you do that for?
10 days.
Wow.
10 days.
How did you
is good.
feel
And
when you were done?
and we climbed the top of the mountain, 6,000 feet.
How did you feel when you were done?
You realize that a lot of the problems, mental issues we have today is because we're trying to go. Sorry, I'm banging there.
No, it's so true.
It's too much.
Yeah.
It's almost unbearable, and it is becoming unbearable. That's why, Like, think about it. We live in a world where we have the most wealth we've ever had as a human species, right? And yet we're the most depressed we've ever been in life. Why? Obviously, there's something wrong with this way of life.
Good point. We've never had things so easy, right? Everything is accessible to us.
It's not meant to be easy. Listen, okay, I come from the perspective of an Orthodox Christian, right? I keep on mentioning that. I'm sorry, but one of the reasons that saved me is that. Because from our perspective, this world makes no sense. The way the monks live, that makes sense. All this comfort, where does it got us? Really? Degeneracy? Look at how girls and boys act today. You have a young son. You've heard the stories at school. He's told me.
Yeah.
This is nuts.
Yeah.
And it's only going to get worse because people are surrounded by comfort. Hey, if you're being bombed like certain places in the world right now, you think you have time to think how depressed you are?
Absolutely. You're just in survival mode.
You're avoiding bombs falling on your head. You're in survival mode. Mind you, is that you don't always want to be there. But don't be here also. We were talking about this before. Don't seek, like, remember I was telling you, if I can maintain what I have now, I don't want more. Because more is just going to add more problems. You know, what did Biggie Small say? More money, more problems, right?
That's what I was saying, right?
Or was that Pete Diddy?
I feel like in my life right now, I have everything that I need, right? I love what I do for a living. I'm not chasing money. I'm chasing things that I love to create, like the talk show, producing, writing, doing skits. I'm taking my acting classes, even though I was told I'm too late, it's too old, I'm too old to be an actor. Yet I've never had more opportunity now. So I don't chase, the dollar, the image, what I look. I chase my passions because I feel like maybe I'm looking at this wrong, but I'm going to be 47. In 30 years, I'll be 77. So to me, the biggest, my biggest currency is time. And I'm like, how much more time do I have to get as much as things I've always wanted to do and some as a child to complete in my life? But things that they're not made to give me valuable possession. They're made to give me the enjoyment and the passion of what I love to do.
Listen, you do what you do. And if you get more, it's a bonus.
Yeah, it's a bonus. That's how I see it.
Don't fall in love with it. That's the point. Don't fall in love with something you're not going to take with you.
Yeah, absolutely. That I agree.
I always tell people the only thing you're going to take with you when you die is the good that you gave out to the world. That's it. That's the only thing you're taking out. That's the only thing you're taking with you. Everything else stays behind. I don't care your mansion. I don't care your cars. I don't care. You're not taking any of it with you.
See, growing up, I remember looking at people who had money, and I used to think, we used to walk in TMR with my sister. We used to look at the houses, and we used to think, "Wow, if we were rich, we'd be happy. Look how happy these people are." And there was a part of me that envied rich people because I always kind of felt that I would be happier if I had that.
If you were to take a survey, Nick, now maybe I'm wrong, but if you were to take a survey, I guarantee you that if you were to question these homes, that they would have more cases of depression in their kids than
absolutely. And I've seen it. I've seen it as a trainer where parents bring me, a 19, 20, 25-year-old kid who's showing up at my house with a $150,000 car and is depressed when he has everything financially he needs. And I'm like, what are you depressed about? I was 13 years old, freaking washing toilets with my dad, hoping for him to buy me my burger at Harvey's.
And don't get me wrong. I'm sure you weren't happy, but you weren't depressed.
No, I was not depressed. I wanted
more.
I wanted a better life because I didn't want that, and I didn't want to give that to my son.
That's normal.
But I was not depressed. And I remember playing in Park X in the streets and, with the kids, and we used to, cut the pads off the sofas to make goalie things. And
Did you understand why I was depressed? You saw I had everything.
I remember when you moved in your house, you had your pool, you had everything. I'm there. It's like you have all of this.
So why was I depressed? Like people could understand why is Perry depressed? Because
you think sometimes when we get too much, too easy, too fast, and I look at
it's expectations. Then you think the world owes it to you. That's why I'm talking about pride before what I was trying to say. A lot of us suffer from pride. A lot of it. It's a very big sickness we all have to different levels. And some people have it more, some people have it. I had a lot of pride, right? Because my father did well. People knew him, we'd go to restaurants. There was no bills. Like we eat on the house. It's okay, you know? So I thought the world owed me that, right? And so when things didn't happen the way I wanted, I'm like, hey, what's going on? What's going on? Why?
Especially that
Why?
I find the mistake that I see with certain parents is that when you give your children everything that they want, I'm trying to find the balance with my son. That's why I told him at 14, I go, you're going to go work at McDonald's.
Bravo.
You're going to go work at McDonald's.
I'm proud of him.
Hey, you're going to go burn your hands in the fryers. You're going to get yelled at. You're going to get screamed at. And now he tells me, Dad, now I know what it is to get out of your comfort zone. And now he's working. He got Employee of the Month. So it gave him also, what did it do? It built his confidence that, wow, I'm actually good at my job. I like this. And obviously he's got school and he plays music. I try to expose
talents,
him.
yeah.
And it's the balance.
Don't let it get to his head.
No, that's the thing. I don't want to give him the life I had, but I don't also want to give him everything he wants. I'm trying to find that balance between.
Guys, balance. I mean, so at the Holy Mountain, when I was there, I talked to a lot of monks who don't have a clue what's going on in the world. There's no, they have their own electricity. They have their own like generators. Like, you know, they have their phones, but they're not really on them. And you'd be surprised what you learn being on your own in the wilderness and everything. The world teaches you what you need to know. And it's very basic. Get enough to make yourself comfortable, feed yourself, sleep, rest, and anything else that comes that's out of the ordinary, that's a bonus.
Yeah, it's a bonus.
If you keep it like that, you'll never be depressed, ever. Trust me. If you keep your expectations to the basic needs of your body, and anything else that comes to you, you take it with gratitude. You'll never be depressed.
See, I feel, and it's interesting, I was talking to a client a couple of days ago, and he was telling me, you know, once you mortgage your building, you'll buy another building in 3 years, you're going to own all this.
Draining just hearing about it.
And I was like, I have my building. I love my job. I'm building. I'm keeping everything small. I have everything I need. I don't need a bigger house. I don't need more cars. I don't.
But to these people, you tell them that, they look at you like,
actually, that's how
what's wrong with you?
That's how he looked at me. He's like, well, don't you want? I said, what I want more is to pursue and realize the things that make me happy, and none of it is financial. It's the whole creating part that
Nick,
I love.
It's not about happy. I realize that. Because happy is
it's a state in a moment.
It could be anything, right? It could be your happiness is not my happiness.
Yeah.
So it's not about happy. When it comes to depression, it's not about being happy. If that's your goal, then you're always going to be depressed because you're always going to chase for the next thing that makes you happy.
Absolutely.
It's about living normally within normal boundaries.
But that's the thing. What is normal boundaries? It changes.
No.
But I mean, it changes for everybody, right?
No,
for some
I don't
people,
agree with that.
I see what you mean. But try to tell somebody who wants 5 cars and 3 houses.
Call him out. Say, get your pride out of your.
But some people, to them, that's what success means. I look at that, I'm like, whatever.
But now you said success. We're talking about happiness.
Or happiness. But this is to them, whatever their idea of what makes them happy. I say, whatever floats your boat. For me personally, that is not the whole Andrew Tate thing. And I was interviewed for a journal, and they asked me about the whole Andrew Tate thing. And it's like, to me, the whole message, and I look at my son who looks
disgusting.
at the cars and the girls, and that's not something that I look up to. It's nothing that I want my son to look up to. It's nothing that represents to me what it is to be a man, or like all that to me is all fake. Maybe because I grew up in the clubs, and I've had like certain lifestyles that I've lived, and I realized it was all fake. All of that, I was more unhappy and depressed in those moments in my life than I am today with the less that I have.
Remember we were saying before, what we're living now is one of the most prosperous times in human history, right? So we shouldn't be depressed, but we are. So what does that tell you? We live in a time where there's this saying, and I hate it. It makes me want to throw up in my mouth every time I hear it. My truth, my truth. Okay, your truth is your truth, but doesn't mean it's the truth.
Yes.
And the problem why we're all sick right now, because you got 9 billion people chasing after their truth. Yeah. How can you have a cohesive, normal life when everybody is just doing their own thing. And yes, you have the right to do your own thing. I'm not talking about rights here. I'm talking about what's normal. And for me, normal is what? And this is from my experience, not because it's my truth. I lived it. I see it. And I see it in people too who are honest with themselves. They admit it to you. They're willing to admit it too. You can chase all these things, success, all that, fine. But again, the best formula because we're talking about depression, for not being depressed is, like I said, live within the norm. You can have a goal and say, I'm going to set out for this goal. That's fine. That's not what I'm talking about. But live within a norm of keeping it simple. Yeah. And then everything that comes into your life after that, just grab it. Say, thank you, Lord. Yeah. Thank you, God. See, I wasn't expecting that, but thank you.
See, it's interesting.
And leave it at that. And don't, now I have this. Like, don't fall in love with it. You know what? Fall in love with simplicity. Yeah. Fall in love with simplicity, and the rest is just extra.
I used to do that when I growing up, because I didn't grow up with a lot. I used to think, oh, when I get this car, I'm going to be happy. Oh, when I get that, I'm going to be. And every time I got it, I was happy in the moment, but then I was always chasing something.
It's a catch-22. It's a trap.
Whereas I'm being honest within my life today. I'm looking at it and I'm thinking everything I get from this moment on is a bonus, which also takes out that whole stress and pressure of, I need this, I have to get it. And I tell my son too, one thing you're going to have to really differentiate as you grow up is, do you want it or do you need it?
Yeah, there's a big difference.
Do you want it? Do you need it? Do you need the $400 jacket or do you want the $400 jacket? I bought a laptop. Did I need the laptop or did I want it? I need the laptop. Why? Because it's for my work.
And don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to promote one of these like hippy dippy peace and love. I'm not like that. You know me. But we're talking about depression. And if you're in a state of depression right now, the best formula is live within simplicity. And after that, anything that happens, be grateful. And that's it. I mean, believe me, I'm no hippy dippy. Yeah. I'm not like that. But there is a truth to it. And I mean, Nick, you see, it's not hard. Go outside. You see how people are living, and they're always chasing something that they're never going to attain, ever. I mean, okay, let's say your goal was to make $1 million. You made that $1 million. Are you going to stop there?
No, they want to make.
Do you know anybody who's ever stopped? Because I haven't. And I know people who've made a lot of money.
So here's the difference. If your goal is to make $1 million and you're like, I'm happy with the million. If I make more, great. If I don't, it's okay. I'm happy with it.
But how many do you know who actually stay like that?
The truth is, no. All the people I train that are very big entrepreneurs, they're always more and more. And then I see them, they're stressed out. And they've actually told me, Nick, why didn't you open a gym? Why don't you expand? I'm like, I sleep very comfortably at night. Right? I want to get more, but it's not, I don't stress over it. I don't put pressure over it.
You know what helped me tie everything, Nick, together is, yes, the physical aspect of taking care of yourself. But then when I realized that there is another aspect to reality, like for me, I can't talk about depression and anxiety and psychological issues without talking about other than just physical reality, right? Because
the whole spiritual religion or spirituality.
For me, it's one and the same. Religion, spirituality, like, is to me. I've noticed that just trying to fix yourself based in the material world, when it comes to depression, it's going to be a very hard battle. There's a reason why most people who are depressed, have you noticed, they tend to gravitate towards meditations, towards different aspects, right? Because the truth is, there's something more than this. There has to be. Yeah. And not because I'm wishful thinking, because I just want it to exist. Yeah. No, I've been through too much and I've seen too much to say that there's nothing more. Yeah. And most people who do well when it comes to depression is they start taking a more spiritual approach to their life too. And for me, I always believed in God, you remember, but I never took it seriously. And the day I did, as hard it was at the beginning, because at the beginning, when I first started approaching my spirituality with my church and taking my faith seriously, I was very resistant. I hated it. Actually, I was very like, I hate this. Again, pride and ego, because no, I can do it myself. You know, why do I need like some higher power to like guide me? And it's literally just, guys, you'd be surprised how many of our problems stem from pride. I always say, whether it's greed, whether it's gluttony.
When you say pride, you mean pride and ego, or is it the same?
Ego.
Yeah. Okay.
Ego, because pride. I mean, obviously, you take pride in your family, but that's not really pride. You're just happy with, you know. I'm talking about ego.
Yeah.
Most of our problems, whether it's greed, gluttony, or whatever you can think of, stem from pride and ego. Most of it. So, for me, once that clicked, sky was the limit. Like, I'm going through stuff now that I should be like with a knife on my wrist.
Yeah.
Right? Compared to how I was. But I'm not. Why? It's not from the TRT alone.
Yeah.
Right? It's what I've learned. Look, people, obviously we live in a time where there's different religions, there's different spiritualities, there's people who believe in all sorts of things. That's fine. That's not my job to try to convince anybody of anything, right? I'm not one of these Bible thumpers that's going to come hit you on the head with a Bible. That's not my job.
Hallelujah, Jesus. Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord. I was handling snakes and stuff. No. But I will tell you this much, that I'm going to try and live my life according to my beliefs, and hopefully by example, it will rub off on others. That's the best conversion you can do to somebody. It's all good to tell them I read this and I did this and I did this. Let them see your example.
Yes, that's
and they
all
will
it
follow.
is.
The rest is just it's garbage.
Yeah.
Like, as much as I'm feeling better, one thing I've realized though, it's scary because I see people now and I'm like, ugh.
Why? What do you mean when you see people now?
I can count maybe on two hands the people that I think are actually genuine people, genuine heart, honest about everything they say.
Who do their best, you know what I mean?
Who do their best.
Yeah, that's...
I can, and I know a lot of people, maybe 10.
That's...
A lot of it is bullshit.
Yeah.
And I know, because I was the biggest bullshitter of them all. So when I speak, I accuse myself too.
That's hard to do. Most people could never do that.
I have no illusions of I know exactly what I am, and I know how much. I don't go home thinking that I smell like roses.
That was one of the hardest things I had to do in my life. But that helps
also realize with your depression.
That was one of the hardest things I did. I started working on myself when I was about 26, 27. I had to look in the mirror and said, everything that's ever happened to me is my fault.
Good. And chances are 90% of it was. Yeah.
Like, I'm the one who went out. I'm the one who did stupid shit. I'm the one who was like, I was so self-destructive and I blamed everybody. But when I looked in the mirror, I was causing all the chaos around me. And I remember thinking, nothing good is coming out of what I am putting and creating forward. And then when I started working on myself, my whole universe, everything I started moving, all the pieces around me just started changing. But I was also getting wiser. I was, making better choices. I was thinking more clear. I was being less impulsive. I took my time to basically start, architecting everything that I'm doing around my life. Because at one point I was just, you remember, I was in a destructive path. Had I continued today, I probably wouldn't be alive, I think. At the time, like the way I was going. So it's scary because you got to look at yourself. You got to really be honest with you. And then you got to put in so much work like you did to go see a therapist, a coach, and really break all the pieces and go back to places you don't want to go back to and face it in the mirror.
Look at our kids today, right? I have a daughter, you have a son. Like we've literally created little monsters. Okay, because we're teaching kids that they're so freaking important all the time. Even when they suck at something, we have to tell them they're good at it. Like in my wife would get mad at me. My daughter would bring me a drawing. She's like, "Daddy, do you like it?" I go, "Oh, it's nice. The other one was better." Because it's the truth. I'd rather be honest.
I agree. I'm like that too. I'm like that too.
We're creating kids who listen, Listen,
let me tell you, sir, I told my son, your boss at McDonald's won't give a shit if I told you were the best. If you don't do a good job, they're going to tell you suck.
yeah,
That's the reality. You're going to get a warning.
you know,
You're going to get.
we've created a society where we're coddling everybody. We're always telling them how great they are and everything. Like, I mean, you know, like I always tell people, like you go to the doctor, somebody's finishing in the bottom of their class. They're not all passing their grades with 90. You know, like some of you are just barely getting by, and some of you are, let's be honest, some of you are stupid. And I don't mind. You can tell me the same thing, Barry. I think you're stupid. Fine.
Yeah,
granted. Then I was like,
the difference with you, I think I'm the same way too. If somebody tells me that, I'm going to take the time. I'm going to reflect. Okay,
maybe he's right. Yeah.
What did he mean that I'm doing this? Because I try to be as honest as I could with myself. Because sometimes a lot of stuff, like we have blind spots that we don't see of how we are, and sometimes other people need to call us out on it, and we need to be like, okay, what do I need to work on this? Like, is this actually true?
no, we're doing a disservice to our kids. You know, when like, you know, you have a tournament and they're all getting first place gold medals, even though they lost 10-0. And then the kid I understand, I'm a star, but no, you lost.
Yeah.
Your team sucked.
And the problem is, this will catch up to them later.
Well, that's what I'm
the later
saying.
the age, the more the hit is harder.
So right now we have like all people with like all sorts of gold medals reaching an age where they're like, I don't understand why I'm so depressed, because you've been lied to almost all your life.
Right. You're right.
You're not that special. A lot of the things you thought about were, look, I'm not saying to be harsh with your kids. I don't.
So
don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to be harsh.
Let me just tell you what I told my son, because to me, I want to teach him. Like I believe in being honest with him. And I remember I was playing basketball, and he goes, "Dad, am I good?" I go, "No, you're not really good." But he goes, "Well, you're not supporting me." I go, "No.
Practice.
I'm being honest with you.
I'll drive you every day to the basketball court.
I said, I'm being honest with you. You want me to lie to you? It's not going to help you at the end when you're going to play the game. But here's the thing. You're not supposed to be good. You just started.
Yeah, you work at it.
You expect to be good, and you expect to be better than that kid, because there was one kid in his team who scored the most points. It was the smallest kid. And I spoke to the mom, and she's like, he practices 2 hours every day. He does this. I said, come here. I go, by the way, you know, your teammate, that kid there that scored all the points? I talked to his mom. At night, how many hours do you play video games? This kid has an agility ladder in his basement. He does agility drills. So what's your excuse? He was like, but it might come out very hard, but I want to prepare him for later on in life that he doesn't get a shock. Because I've told him life is going to be hard. Get used to it. It's not fair. And like, don't think that people are going to give a shit about your feelings.
It's easier to give hard lessons when they're kids than to try to break bad habits after when they're adults, right? Because that's what happened to me. So I was fed very bad. Like, I was never challenged. I was never. And now at 46, I'm trying to change my life. It's listen, don't get me wrong. I'm still struggling. We
had very different childhoods. I remember, I was working at 15. I was at McDonald's. And it was hard. Those moments that I had of anger towards my parents. I used to be like, why did I have to be so young? Why do I have to be working already? Why can't I just go play with my friends? Why do I have to start paying stuff already? It was hard for me. Looking at it today, I'm like, I could be grateful for what I went through. Even though I look back and I'd be like, I wish it wasn't that hard. I wish I would have got certain things a little bit easier, but it also prepared me. It also prepared me for today, where I'm like, I kind of feel.
Let me ask you, who's in a better situation now, me or you? You. God forbid something happens to me and I have to be out there in the world now and start all over. How?
Yeah.
I'll figure it out.
You'll figure it out.
Because I'm in a good place now. But could you imagine, like, I see people who go through hardship now, and I tend to respect them a lot more because they had to learn how to fight. And as much as I'm a believer in in God and, in providence and stuff like that, I still say, trust me, you're better off learning to fight at a young age. It pays off. It pays off a lot more than the kid who had everything and stuff like that. It does pay off a lot more. I see it in my life now. I had to reach 46 years old to see it, that my life And God bless my parents. Very
Yeah,
good
you had
parents.
a very good life. Like, I mean,
But I didn't learn anything. Mind you,
it's not easy to admit.
selfishness too, right? You know, in Greek we say "ta θέλει ο κόλος μας." We want the
You
good.
wanted the nice car, you had the money. I remember
we
we
can't
used-
blame everything on parents and stuff like that.
There's a point you gotta
know,
assume your own responsibilities. And
But the truth is, you see the struggle now, and I admire people who struggle. They're stronger. They're stronger. I don't care if they're dumb. I don't care if they're stronger.
yeah.
They're stronger because they had to learn to adapt and to survive. And you know, I've met a lot of religious people, right? And then I've met people who don't believe in anything but struggle to work hard. And you know, and they're better people than a lot of the religious people I've met.
Yeah.
All right. So
Because I think, and maybe I'm wrong, but I feel when people have struggled,
you rely on other people.
and they've been through a lot of shit in their life, they tend to have more compassion and more empathy for others. I think it could go both ways.
It could
to
go both
extremes.
ways, but I don't mean empathy. What I mean, though, they're nicer, meaning that if they see you in a hardship,
Yeah.
they'll be a lot more eager to help you
Yeah.
than
Like me, when I see homeless people, when I see people who go through, I could feel a lot more their pain because I've been through certain things in my life where I'm like, I feel bad. I'm like, what can I do to help you? You know what I mean? I try to, I think there's more empathy, and I see some people who completely lack empathy for the world, and I see it where they just don't care. For them, it's like, well, I got my money, I got my car, I'm living well, screw everybody else.
Well, to me, like I said, when it comes to the mental health issues, these are the subjects that have helped me the most, more than TRT,
Yeah.
more than antidepressants.
But you worked on yourself. You saw
more
therapists,
than
you saw
psychology.
coach, you saw
but
Dora.
I love Dora. She's the best.
But you still have to show up and put the effort. I think that's really important
She
for
can
people to
only
know.
teach you so much.
So much, yeah.
Right? And she did.
You're there an hour
She
once a
taught-
week, yeah.
She taught me a few techniques that I still use, but most of the progress I've made, because those were just ways to like I said, bring me off the ledge. Yeah. But what brought me to the dance, like we say, is that I started realizing these issues about how things actually work, how things actually are compared to how I want them to be.
Yeah.
You know, who I am compared to who I think I am.
That's a good
This is what brought me, and a lot of what brought me to these realizations. You know, when it comes to, because I want to talk about a bit of, not long, just give me 2 minutes about the Christianity as a whole, right? It's gotten a bad rap because we tend to watch the movies and it's always some Bible guy from the west, from the south.
Yeah.
He's like, go to hell, burn in hell, you know? And that's not what it is. I've read books from 500 AD, 200 AD, ancient writings of how monks work, how monastics work. And you'd be surprised how much modern psychology has taken from those books.
I would not be surprised.
You'd be very surprised, my friend, because I even told Dora that because I was talking about it. Because we became friends over the years, more than, I don't even see her anymore. She's just my friend.
Yeah.
And I go, Dora, think about it. Even confession, like I go to confession. Why do I go to confession? I go, listen, you go to a shrink and you're going to go spill your heart out and pay her $150. It's free with the priest.
It's so true.
And you go and what's confession? Why do I do confession? There's two. It's a twofold thing. You do confession. One, you put your ego aside and you're going to say something very hard to a stranger.
Yeah.
That's really, it takes a lot to do that. It's not easy. Hey, I just met you. Hey, I did this and I did this. Just telling a basic stranger, basically, right? So already you're humbling your ego because humility is a very big part. Humility.
Yes.
And second of all, once you confess and the priest reads a prayer, he doesn't absolve you. He's just a man like you. He probably has worse sins than you, maybe. But at that moment, he reads a prayer and you're cleansed and you're gone. And why do we do that? Because, like I said, put it aside now. It's over.
It's over. It's over. Yeah,
You did that, it's over. So what is psychology today? It teaches you all these things. The body, don't leave it too much in comfort because it gets lazy. Your body works against you.
Yeah.
It does. Your body does work against you, believe it or not. Do you see when you don't train for 6 weeks,
absolutely.
do you want to go back to the gym?
No, yeah.
It's hard, right? Yeah. The body hates discomfort. The soul loves it though.
Yeah.
The soul loves discomfort because the soul grows. Yeah. You know, we have something called the noose, we call it. Yeah. The monks call it the noose. The noose is as big as space is. It's huge, they say. We have to humble it. Make it this small to live right in here because it's a wanderer. The noose goes everywhere. It fantasizes about this, about that. You have to beat it. And you keep it there. You're trying to contain something big like this in a small little package. But once it's there, it's unstoppable.
Wow. Perry, we're going to finish it with that, guys. Guys, great episode. Perry, thank you for coming on the show.
I always hope it helps people. That's the most important.
It does, because the last one that we did as well, we got a lot of great comments. So guys, if you love this episode, leave us a comment. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Have the Balls to Talk About It, guys. We will see you next week.